Hi guys, my name's Doug. Welcome to my messy garage. Today's video is episode 6.5 of the Project Pontoon series. In today's video, we'll be continuing to install the new steering console that I purchased from pontoonstuff.com. Follow along as I finish mounting the rest of the hardware needed to get the boat ready for a lake test. Thanks for watching.
And of course the ruler is not quite long enough to go across there. What I want to do is split the difference height-wise on this panel, and I want to kind of come in so that the trim switch is at about the quarter of the way across and the key switch is about a quarter of the way across. So we are, give or take, 3 inches. So it looks to me like we kind of need to line that up even with the edge. And then probably kind of split the difference with the key. So I've been looking at the ignition switch here. The way this was mounted in the old console, it stuck through all the way. You can kind of see the sun line. Basically from here out was exposed to the sun. So this whole assembly was sticking way out from the dash. And I don't really want to do that. This comes with 2 nuts. The idea being here that the outer nut is your fancy trim nut and the back one is to set the depth so that it just sticks out far enough that this nut is able to grab. One other issue that we've come across here is that there's a flat on the side of this ignition barrel. And I don't know if the camera will swing over and cooperate, but you can see in the shifter console here that there is a hole about the right size with a flat. Unfortunately, there's no way that this is going to fit in behind without causing problems. And then your key is here when you're trying to put the boat into reverse. Not a good situation. Personally, I would much rather have it in the panel. So how we're going to deal with that is, rather than drilling out to the finished size of the threads and then not having a flat, what I'm going to do is I'm going to drill it out so essentially it is the size of the flat to the far side. In other words, slightly smaller than this. And then we'll take a rat tail or like a round file and we'll file the hole out. Or this plastic works good with a deburring, swivel deburring tool works well to clean this plastic up. And then we can kind of auger the hole out except where the flat is, and then we'll be able to keep the key from turning. So laying out the location of this trim switch, we want to do it before we do the key switch, because kind of center the key switch in the remaining space. And turning this around backwards, basically it's going to fill the remainder height-wise of what we have here with this nice bezel. And so what I'm thinking we're going to do is leave it even with the edge of this. It'll be kind of something like that. And we need a nice round hole. We're just going to mark over to the midpoint. And then you see this nice big round hole that we have in behind. And we're going to drill a hole. I think the step drill will go that big to take that round boss. So I marked where I want the center line to be for the ignition switch, and just mostly for personal aesthetics. We want this to be straight, of course. That's not mounted permanently yet. And also to get it far enough away that you're not bumping it and turning the motor off when you're trying to adjust your trim. The trim is going to be nice, fairly close to the shifter, and the key switch will be close enough so you're kind of working in the same general area. We want to drill this out, but we only want to go to the small diameter here. I think a smaller step drill would be a better way of going. So we want to stop, I'm going to say about 3 from the end. Step drills make very quick work of that plastic. Make sure we're in the off position, because that is how we're going to set the, that's how we're going to decide where we want to put the flat. I think we want the flat on this side, and if we look back at this hole that's in the shift unit, that's how they had it set up. We've got a couple of half round files here, fairly coarse, chew through the plastic quick, a round one and a triangular one that we'll use for massaging the flat a little bit. Okay, the first thing we want to do here is we want to get the flat well established. That's the most important feature of this hole. So we'll reach up from underneath here and doesn't feel too bad. So we've got everything kind of sort of laid out the way we want. We don't really need this green tape anymore. Now it's time to start connecting some stuff up. Well, we've got the steering wheel mounted, and I just pushed the top half of the console down into place. We've got some electrical details looked after. Definitely going to have to come up with a way to secure some of that. And obviously we need to add some power to the input of the new electrical panel. First thing I want to do is put the wing nuts on those studs that stick down. So the top half of the console is permanently mounted. It's tightened down good. And you guys don't need to watch me do the other two. Next on my agenda is I want to come up with a way to secure these cables here, at least for the time being, until we see how things are going to shake out. So I'm just going to drill a hole and put a tie wrap in there and secure those up there for the time being. Tie wraps are not necessarily my first choice for securing wires, but in this application I think it's probably going to work fairly well, at least temporarily. If we decide that this is exactly how things are going to get wired up, then we can very easily put a dowel clamp or something in there that's a little more secure than just a tie wrap. Next on our list is to reconnect the steering. Start that in the hole. I think I'd like to put a little bit of grease on that, just to make sure that it works properly. Put a little bit of wheel bearing grease on this just so that it doesn't eat itself. Okay. Now turning the steering wheel in the opposite direction to what you would think, because it's got a gear reduction on it. Now we need to hold it relatively in line and thread it on. Okay, we put the locking pin back in And we appear to have steering. You can kind of see just over the top of the fence there. The motor is steering quite nicely. So I'll show you around the helm station so far. We've got the selector switches installed, tightened down, still a few little stringies in the corners here. Plan is we're going to replace these screws with stainless. That was just temporarily put in place. Horn, and then these are all of the accessory switches, docking lights, nav lights, and instrument power to the chart plotter that'll be going here. The trim tilt is hooked up, battery's not hooked up at the moment, and ignition. Here we've got the controls, everything seems to be working fine there, and steering. The next item that we need to figure out here is mounting my Garmin chart plotter. We've got a Garmin EchoMap 93 SV side vision chart plotter. The transducer will go on the back of the right hand pontoon. There's a mounting bracket back there, but we need to figure out how to go about mounting the gimbal. And I'm thinking we're going to do something similar to what we did with when we're mounting the panel. We're going to put tape across there, and we'll mark where we're going to drill the holes, and then we're going to put some, I think I've got some stainless steel Allen head screws that'll go in there quite nicely. I'm going to bolt it through to the backside with nuts rather than relying on self-tapping screws. I'm hoping that glare from the sun isn't causing you guys too much trouble. And I think that looks a pretty good position. And of course the Sharpie marker won't reach through. Yeah, we're starting to run out of daylight here, but so I think this will be the last job for the day. Get this gimbal bracket mounted. So what we're going to use here is some M4 stainless hardware. Not sure how long those bolts are, but I don't know, 20 mil, something like that. Now we got some little washers and nylock nuts, and I'll get those started on the back side of the panel. Well guys, I think we're going to call that enough progress for the day. Steering's connected, gimbal mount is set up for the Garmin, switch panel is in, trim switch is in, key switch is in, console is mounted. Not bad for a few hours work. Appreciate you taking the time to watch this video. Hopefully you got something from it. And we'll see you in the next episode. Thanks for watching.